What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Meta Monday for the first episode ever of Meta Monday. So, welcome back. I don't know where you went. This is going to be casual talking about the standard format metagame. Today is June 8th. I think it's Monday. Yeah, Monday, Meta Monday. How did I come up with that one? Let's start this video before I ruin it. Before we start talking about Pokemon cards and the metagame and all that good stuff, shout out to PotownStore.com. Best place for you, yes you, to get ptcgo codes and support my channel and save yourself some money using code CELIO for 5% off of those sweet scrumptious ptcgo codes. So why is Obama Snow on the screen? It's because it's the first card they show us. Let's get something a little bit more meta up here for Meta Monday. So right now, let me fill y'all in where I'm at. I'm testing for the Limitless Invitational. Thank you all. Thank you to everyone who voted for me to be playing in the Limitless Invitational next weekend. That's what I'm testing for. It's going to be a 16-person tournament, so the meta is fairly controlled, I would call it, because a lot of the players, I'm familiar with them, so it's kind of a little bit easier to make a read on what they will play. Everybody's competitive. We don't have to really account for the random stuff too much. So metagaming for a 16-person invitational is much different than metagaming for a 1,400-person like regional or major event or whatever. So metagaming for that's a little different. That's where my mind's at. I'm thinking about Zacian Combo and Draga as like the top two decks right now. But Zacian Combo, I think it's overpowering ADP Zacian in the meta. I think that's pretty safe to say. That's my thoughts on it at the moment. I think people would rather be playing to hit the combo with the scoop up nets and the miming and the Jirachi and all of that stuff, instead of you have to use Alter Creation early on. Alter Creation early on is threatened by the Crushing Hammers in the Draga lists, like Katron played with the 4 hammers, Hammer D. And so I think Crushing Hammers is making its rounds more now. Again, my English is just horrendous. Who let me have a YouTube channel? Hammers is popular again in Dragapult VMAX, I think. I'd say it's probably like 50-50, maybe a little less. Maybe like 30% of Dragalists are playing Hammers or some sort of energy removal again. And that definitely is something that scares off ADP. Also, it's just kind of bad to have a tag team Pokemon sitting out there that your opponent can bop, and then your prize trade isn't even accelerated again. Then you're back on like even playing grounds after you use Alter Creation and your ADP gets bopped. So the Zacian Combo, I think it's less conservative than ADPZ because you do have to hit the combo. That's why it's called Zacian Combo, in case you weren't paying attention to that. But I think it's less conservative, but I think the reward outweighs the risk with how consistent players have been building their Zacian combo lists. So compare this to your Discord tournaments or whatever it is you're playing in, however you want, but this is kind of how I'm looking at it for the Limitless Invitational. I'm looking at Zacian Combo as one of the big dogs, no pun intended. And I'm not looking at ADPZ as one of the big dogs whatsoever. Now Dragapult VMAX. Dragapult VMAX is one of my top considerations. It was one of my top considerations for Q3 and Q4 as well. Very, very good deck. Build it with Stamp and Plants, and you have a fair chance versus Pika and Blounds by Stamp planting them, and Stamp Plant is just good against everything. Now, the tricky thing about Dragapult VMAX is we're back in this circle of Dragapult VMAX decks that I kind of wrote about that I thought was going to happen early on in the Rebel Clash format. If you're interested in my writing, patreon.com/Celios Network, where it's like you can play the healing to counter the mirrors, you can play energy denial to counter the mirrors, but then the mirror can play Malamar to like negate your energy denial. You can play hammers, Yell Grunt, Tina, a combination of those. I think the people playing Dragapult VMAX, like let's say 4 players play Dragapult VMAX to the Limitless Invitational. I know, it's weird talking about these small numbers. Like, usually I'm saying, oh, like, 100 people play the tier 1 deck. So let's say 4 people play the Dragapult VMAX deck to the Limitless Invitational. I think, like, 2 to 3 will play hammers in them, and then, like, 1 or 2 will not play hammers, and I don't... maybe one person will play the Malamar variant, potentially, to like circumvent the hammers and the other players are playing. But I do think hammers is very good because it's good against the mirror. It can be okay versus Zacian. If people are still playing ADP, it's very good versus that. It can be useful at some point versus Pika, but they have energy acceleration, so it's not like the best versus them. It usually doesn't do much versus Baby Blounds. But I do respect the power of hammers. I haven't been too much of a fan of playing the 4 Crushing Hammer and Dragapult VMAX myself. I do respect it. I know that it's good. It's just probably not what I want to play. Maybe I'll default to it if I don't find anything better. But I kind of like playing Mallow Lana to counter the mirror. I kind of like Tina to counter the mirror. I kind of like Yell Grunt, even like a cheeky one of Yell Grunt, because you can get it back with Mewtwo and have that Yell Grunt Tina turn where you're guaranteed getting 2 energies off of their Pokemon. Crushing Hammer doesn't do it for me too much in Dragapult VMAX, but like I said, I respect that it is good. Next we have Blacephalon, and Baby Blacephalon's very good. Oh god, I've said Blacephalon so many times. Let's just do it one more time. Blacephalon there, it's out of my system. We'll call it Baby Blounds now. So, the Blounds, I think this deck is just insane. I've been playing it a ton for the Players' Cup events, competing in the Player Cup events. Not going to bring that up in this video. But if you are grinding events for tournament rep and hoping that tournament rep, there I go, hoping that the tournament rep makes it into your Pokemon account or whatever, shows up on the leaderboard, I think Blacephalon's a really efficient deck to play for those. The games are over quick. The deck is just stupid. It can blow up anything. And it also helps you with your sequencing. I talked about this on a previous video, that like playing Baby Blounds, you have to have really good sequencing for the deck to work optimally and to work frequently for you. I think the deck is actually fairly consistent if you're always playing optimally. So this deck can kind of beat anything in the meta. It does have an unfavorable matchup to Spiritomb variants, which I think maybe I would be the only person bringing Spiritomb Beasts to the Invitational if I decide to bring it, and I think Ross Cawthon is going to be bringing ADP Tomb, because if you haven't noticed, he really likes that deck, and he's found success with it in 3 out of 4 qualifiers that he played in. No, in all 3 qualifiers that he played in, he found success with ADP Tomb. So I would reckon that he's going to play ADP Tomb. So Blacephalon has a poor matchup to Tomb variants, the Spiritomb variants, but it's winnable for it, but it's definitely an unfavorable matchup for Blacephalon. Other than that, Blacephalon's good against Pika. It's close to favorable versus Zacian combo. I look at it as it's anybody's game versus Zacian combo. Dragapult's very weird. If Dragapult has a slow start, and Blacephalon doesn't skip a beat, then it can actually be kind of tough for Dragapult. They can come back with Stamp Plant. Again, I think Blacephalon versus Zacian combo is fairly close. I think Blacephalon versus Dragapult is fairly close. I see those as anyone's game, whether I'm on whichever side I'm on. Like, I'm not thrilled or upset to be on either side of that matchup. But for Pika, I think Baby Blounds versus Pika is very Baby Blounds favored. Mewtwo variants are pretty favored for Baby Blounds. Maybe there will be like one Mewtwo variant in the Invitational. But again, if you're taking this into consideration for your own tournaments or the Players' Cup grinding or whatever, I think Baby Blounds is just a really, really good deck. It's explosive. It can kill anything in front of it, which is good for grinding events when you don't know what's going to be on the other side of the board. And I think this is solid for the Limitless Invitational as well, but I don't think Baby Blowns will win the Invitational. But I would put money on it that Zapdos TCG is going to play Baby Blowns, just because he's stuck with that for a while, just like I think Ross Cawthon's going to play Tomb, and I think Katron's going to play Dragapult. But Baby Blowns, I think, is one of the best decks in the format. I don't think the meta is pushing it out at all. Mill is at an all-time low. I don't think I've seen a single Mill playing the PTCGO events in June. Like I said, it's unfavored versus Tomb, but it's still winnable. What else do we have? Well, I've been talking about Pika and Tomb, so we should probably cover those. Oh, look at that. I typed in PikaRom. That's not a card. It is Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GX, everybody. I should just put the... There we go. Pikachu and Zekrom GX Tag Team GX basic Pokemon Tag Team. So, PikaRom, not really my deck, so I'm definitely biased against that. I have that disclaimer in every video I talk about PikaRom. I think it's solid, but I don't think it's not as good as it was Q3. Because, like, I say this all the time in my articles, my videos, whatever. When a new set comes out and decks are changing and developing and whatnot, it'll seem like the same stuff is still good from before the set came out. And while that stuff might still be good, it's usually amplified because that deck was already solidified. It was already a developed deck before the new set came out, and just got a couple new things to add on to it. And that's exactly what happened with Pika. It was really, really strong in Q3 because it was a deck that pretty much people already knew how to build it. Throw in some speed energies, throw in some bolt tons, and you're good to go. Dragapult was still developing. It did fairly well. Zacian combo was definitely still developing, which is why I think it did pretty well. It had like a 10% conversion rate in Q3, but it definitely didn't do nearly as well in Q3 as it did Q4. So I think PikaRom is still solid. It's probably tier 1. It's a strong, solid, like, you can win most games kind of deck. But I don't feel like it has any overly favorable matchups, and I don't think it ever really has had that on paper. It's always been a deck that doesn't really have great matchups on paper, but it does well because it's good at doing turn 1 full blitz and just overpowering an opponent that misses a step or has an inconsistent deck. But going into the Invitational, we're going to have less inconsistent decks now because it's better players in the Invitational. It's the cream of the crop. And also decks are more solidified now. So PikaRom, still solid. Not my kind of deck. If you're looking to grind events with a... If you're looking to grind events with a big blow-up deck, I suggest Baby Blowns, and it'll probably also help you grow as a player playing Baby Blowns because of all the sequencing that's involved, in my opinion. Also, I've seen a falling off of Pika in the events. I've seen a lot of Zacian combo, Blowns, and Draga in the PTCGO events, and, you know, random theme decks and stuff. But I have not seen as much Pika as I probably would have seen 2 weeks ago, or at least as I saw on the ladder 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. What else did we leave out? We left out Spiritomb, the old tomb. Let's get to the correct tomb. Here we go. So, as you may know, Doom Count, Tomb Count, Doom Tomb, whatever. This Spiritomb deck, you can find the profile on my channel, that myself and my teammates came up with the Cryogonal and the Yveltal GX. I played it in the Sunday Open yesterday. I got 6th place out of 150 people or so. So that was pretty cool. I like Spiritomb a lot. I think it's a very skill-intensive deck to play. I don't think this is a huge chunk of the metagame. If we even have a metagame at this point, we don't have major tournaments going on or anything. Like I said, the Invitational is just 16 people. Then we have Discord tournaments dispersed and the PokeX tournaments and grinding PTCGO 8-mans, but I don't think Spiritomb is like insanely popular or anything. I still think it sits at a solid 1.5. I think Ross Cawthon's gonna play his popularized ADP Tomb at the Limitless Invitational. And I think ADP Tomb is fine. I prefer Tomb Beasts because the ADP, you don't have energy acceleration in there like you have in ADPZ. You have energy switches if you miss an energy or it gets hammered or something. So I really don't like how what's the word? What's the word? How open ADP Tomb is to getting disrupted. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but the word is just escaping me. You know how when you just can't think of a word? Rant. Okay. So I think Spiritomb is still 1.5-ish. The last deck I want to talk about, one of the sleepers, I think, Cinderace VMAX. I think Cinderace VMAX is very good. I've still been messing around with something like Trainer Chip posted on his YouTube channel a little while ago. Also, shouts out Trainer Chip. He just got voted into the Limitless Invitational as the 16th person. I think Cinderace VMAX has potential. I think it's good against Zacian combo, and it's good against Dragapult VMAX. So, something I'm looking into right now is Cinderace, maybe working with it a little bit more. The reason I did not like Cinderace VMAX originally was because it was too easy for ADPZ to just go Gust, knock out a support Pokemon, Gust, knock out a support Pokemon, game over, and they never have to deal with Cinderace VMAX. Zacian combo has a little bit harder of a time going Gust, take your extra prize, Gust, take your extra prize, because they also have to hit the scoop ups for the Jirachi Prism and whatnot. Still definitely doable, but I think it's a little less feasible than ADP Zacian. So Cinderace VMAX, I did have this on tier 2 in my tier list, and I still think it is tier 2. I just think it has some potential that needs to be tapped into. And yeah, I probably left out your favorite deck, so flame me in the comments for that. As always, shout out to PotownStore.com, code Celio for 5% off over there. If you need to build some decks, go pick up some ptcgo codes. This has been my first Meta Monday, and who knows, maybe we'll do more of these. There's not really much metagame to talk about. I just wanted to talk to my camera for 15 minutes or so about the meta and competitive decks, and since today's Monday, we're slapping a name on it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can support me on Patreon, follow me on Twitter and Twitch. All of the links to that kind of good stuff is in the description down below, and have a good day, everybody.